Madam Clerk, I think we're ready to invite our delegations from the public.
Our first delegation is Adam Mills.
Mr. Mills?
He is virtually, we just have to get him connected.
All right. Let us see if the technology is equal to the task.
Hello, sorry for the delay there. My name is Adam Mills, and I've been an Oakville resident for my entire life. I'm here to speak in favor of passing the bylaws the Minister of Housing is requesting. I'm currently away at school, and I'm speaking to you from the beautiful and vibrant yet quiet Plateau neighborhood of Montreal, which is why I've attending virtually. It's a neighborhood where the type of housing that is being discussed here is abundant, and we're having a great mixture of housing types, creates an incredible, tapestry of life, people, culture. Just the street that I live on, neighbors ranging from students to older professionals to young families to retirees to those on social assistance and more. Like right out my window here, there's a 8-story social housing building, and housing is much more affordable here, which is part of the reason why I chose to leave the province to pursue my education. Having a car is optional, which makes traffic manageable, life more affordable for a lot of people. And all these, these are all aspects that I think Oakville can and should work to emulate. Setbacks, step backs, shadow impacts, angular planes, they're all foreign concepts here. And yet they've managed to create one of the best known, most vibrant and active neighborhoods in the country. And, the sky hasn't fallen. I mean, it snows a lot, but no, these are all things that Oakville's planning regime attempts to create. And I think in a lot of ways, by being so overly restrictive, really hinders Oakville's ability to flourish. Jabs aside, it's no secret that we're in a housing crisis. In fact, for as long as I can remember, we've known that housing is becoming increasingly unaffordable. Looking back now as a grown citizen, it's amazing to me that we're only starting to get serious about the cost of housing now. I've been told since as long as I can remember that I will never be able to own a house. It's just been a fact of life, and that's pretty sad. It affects everything. It affects when young adults like myself are able to gain their independence and move out from home. Instead, many of my friends, I'm 23 now, I'm a bit late going into university, but many of my friends have gone to university and now they're coming right back to live at home because they can't afford to put a roof over their heads. It affects the spouse trying to flee their abusive partner because they can't afford an $1,800 rent payment for a 2-bedroom for them and their kids. And that was the lowest price for, a bottom of the barrel basement unit that I looked on when I looked on Kijiji today in Oakville. It's just, and that's a cause that I know is near and dear to many people on council's hearts. And it's really, that's why we should be to prevent these things or to help all these people. It's why we should be pursuing affordable housing and building as much housing as we possibly can, as urgently as we people are further and further away from their friends and family to find affordable housing, and on. Allowing for more housing to be built and welcoming new neighbors in our neighborhoods works to achieve many of the priorities that council has set for itself, especially regarding community belonging and environmental sustainability. So to hear all these caveats about why we shouldn't be building housing, it just kind of flies in the face of, I looked at town council's priorities today, and it talked about community belonging and environmental sustainability, allowing more development in our established neighborhoods. It's all about, building communities where everybody can belong and not having to build on greenfield sites and contributing to the massive sprawl that the GTHA has been doing for the last many years. We talk a great talk about being an inclusive and welcoming community, but when it comes down to it, we sort people by the type of house they can afford. This style of house goes here. This style of house goes here, and it's just sorting everybody by class, and we get very myopic, worldviews from it. And then when you go to, a diverse neighborhood like where I'm at now, it's like, wow, there's, it's really eye-opening. It's so, yeah, allowing only certain types of housing to be built in certain areas goes directly against being a welcoming town. There are, some might say that Oakville has been very welcoming. There are a lot of stats. Oakville has done very good to build a lot of new housing, but did we really welcome them into our neighborhoods and communities? I don't think so. I think we largely forced the development out of established parts of town. We're still talking about protecting, the heritage district of downtown Oakville. We enabled sprawling car-dependent development all in North Oakville. As schools in South Oakville closed, we built brand new schools on farmers' fields, saying that we were concerned about infrastructure. But this infrastructure just lay to waste in South Oakville. And a lot of this new infrastructure, many experts say, is never going to pay for itself, and maintaining it will contribute to municipalities' inability to maintain services in the future. My second point was not just about law; it was about sustainability. Having more neighbors and more housing types allows for so many sustainable benefits, such as more property taxes to fund things like public transit, more riders to justify running buses more than every half hour. Allowing more neighbors and more housing types means, if we allow them to exist in our neighborhoods, more grocery stores within walking distance, so that my grandma is able to go get her groceries after she can no longer drive. Especially with an aging population, that's something we should really be looking at. And allowing more units in our established neighborhoods is one key to that. And allowing more people to walk means less people driving and less traffic. I don't know. That's just kind of how it works out in my mind. It's a very hot button issue, but a lot of municipalities, not just across Canada, but across North America, are realizing the harmful effects of restrictive zoning on housing affordability. So I ask you today to pass the minister's suggested bylaws, but also go further in pursuing common sense zoning reforms that have been proven to help lower the cost of housing, including reducing or eliminating parking minimums and commercial set around MTSAs, growth areas, commercial centers, so that these units can actually pencil out, because we're talking about how these units might not want to pencil out. We do want more people in our neighborhoods to contribute to our economy. And I also asked that council not permit 4 stories just around Sheridan College, but around any commercial centers like the ones I just mentioned. 4 stories really isn't that much. I live in a 4-story right now myself, and it's 4 stories, 4 units, and it's a quiet, lovely little street. When it comes to the actual implementation and regulation of these things, I hope that the building envelope is provided so that these units can actually be functional, like they can actually get built. A lot of times, we permit 3 units, 4 units, but they can't actually get built because of the building envelope. It just doesn't work. So, that's about all I have to say. I just wholeheartedly ask you to pass not just the minister's recommendations, but to go beyond, as he does ask in the letter, to permit more types of housing as of right all across town to help create a more vibrant, affordable, sustainable, and welcoming town.
Mr. Mills, Mr. Mills, thank you very much for your well-presented arguments, and I wish you well in your studies.
Thank you.
And there's people here who liked what you said. You got applause. It breaks our rules,
sure you
but
can tell,
what can you do?
I've got many opinions on the matter, so I'm more than welcome to any questions or any follow-ups from any counselors. I would be more than happy to email you.
I'm not seeing any, and I assure you, you were so comprehensive, you're unlikely to have any. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, would you call the next delegation?